I've just been sent a brand new bait boat for a review. So I've come down to my local club lake to see what it's all about and to talk you guys through some of the features. So the boat in question is the new Rippton Catch X Mini GPS. Now this isn't a long-term review because I've only used it a couple of times, but I just thought I'd run you through some of the features and my initial thoughts on it, and hopefully show you how some of the functionality of this boat works. Now, don't be fooled by its small size, because what it lacks in dimensions, it more than makes up for in features, as you will see throughout the course of this video. So this is actually the third boat that I've been sent by Ripton, and on the whole I found them to be really reliable boats and well thought out, with all the features and the tech that you need to get your rods out in position with a minimum of fuss. What I like about the new Catch X Mini is obviously the small size and the weight. So it means that I can put it into my underbarrow bag, and I don't have to carry a big extra bag for the bait boat separately. It kind of comes with me and I barely know it's there. The weight is only 3 kilos and the dimensions are roughly 47 centimetres long by 28 centimetres wide. So that will fit into most barrow bags, and my bag actually is a waterproof bag that kind of slots into my barrow, and I can leave the boat in there if I'm not using it, and it's nice and waterproof and safe and out of the way. Previously, with the bigger versions of the Ripton boats, I've had to get a separate bag, and it's quite bulky and quite heavy as well. But this boat, you know, being only 3 kilos, it goes in that underbarrow bag and you barely know it's there. Now there's a couple of new features on the Catch X Mini that weren't on the previous Ripton boats. First one being the handy battery indicator lights on the boat itself, so you never need to kind of look at your handset to know how much battery you've got left. You've got 4 lights on there, and when it's full, all 4 lights are lit, and then as it drains the battery, the lights go down to 3, 2 and then 1, and obviously you want to stop using it when you get down to 1 really, otherwise you could be out in the lake and the battery will run out. I believe it's got a handy return to home function when the battery gets low, so it'll automatically come back, so you're never sort of going to lose your boat. Now it's got a nice carry handle under the front of the hopper there, so you can pick it up, and it is really light. As I said before, it's only 3 kilos, so barely weighs anything. And also the on-off button is just there by the handle, so you can kind of turn it off as soon as you pick it up out of the lake. You can turn it off, and you don't have to put it down and come back here and press the button like you used to on the previous boats. Now the feature that I really like that they've included on this boat is it is now top loading. So you've got this little hatch here, and the line comes in the top of the boat, and you can place your rig in there without having to feed it in underneath, and you can put your line in there, put your bait in there, all from the top now, so it makes it a lot quicker and a lot easier process loading the boat before you send it out in the lake. Another feature that I really like about the Ripton boats, all the boats that I've had from them so far feature single-handed operation via the joystick on the handset there. So other boats that I've had in the past from other manufacturers, you've got 2 sticks on the handset, so you've got to go forwards and backwards with one hand, left and right with the other hand, and you can't hold your rod. With this boat you can control it with one hand and hold your rod in the other hand, which allows you to control the line as it's coming off your reel, keep a nice tight line to the boat so you haven't got a load of slack going out. And also when you come to drop your rig and your bait, you can keep a nice tight line and feel that lead down so you know what you're fishing over. I really like this feature. It makes me feel more in control, lets me know what the lake bed's like where I'm fishing, so I kind of got a better idea of what's going on under the water, and you can adjust your rigs and your lead setup to suit the substrate of the lake where you're fishing. A couple of other things worth mentioning. They've now made the aerial a lot shorter on the boat, which I really like, because a lot of the time I'm fishing under trees and things, so the clearance isn't that good. And so having a shorter aerial allows you to drive under features like like overhanging trees on islands and things like that without getting caught up. And also that does fold down out the way, so if you want to put it right down, if you're going under some really low canopy, it can be out the way, but bear in mind that will reduce your range with the boat slightly. And also for driving underneath your rods, it avoids catching on your lines because it is so short. Another thing is that somehow they've made this boat a lot quieter than the previous boats, so you can barely hear it when it's working in the water, which just means it's a lot more stealthy, and it seems to be a lot quicker as well. I don't know if they've put the same motors in from the previous boats and the smaller size makes it quicker, or whether it is slightly more powerful, I'm not sure, but it does seem to be really, really quick as well. So it's quiet and it's quick as well, meaning you can get out to your spot nice and quick, minimum fuss, and super stealthy. So when I'm using bait boats, I generally like to manually drive the boat out, but Ripton, being Ripton, they've included GPS in this boat, so you can now automatically set spots out in the lake that the boat will go out to, and you can fish the exact same spot every time, which is guided by satellite, so it's quite amazing. I fish a lot of smaller waters where I'm kind of fishing up to features, so I don't really need this feature for my fishing particularly, but if I ever go to France on a big water and I'm fishing right out in the lake, I don't need to use any markers or anything like that. I can just drive the boat out with the GPS and I know it's going to drop it pretty much on the same spot every time, and then it will automatically return to a home point that I've set near the bank without me having to do anything, so I can kind of put the rod on the rest and sort it all out while the boat's on its way back. Another advantage of GPS is if you're fishing the lake regularly and you want to bait up stealthily in the night, you can set points out in the lake and then turn the lights off on the boat at night and just drive it out and bait up, and the boat will come back automatically, and no one can really see where you're baiting up to, so no one's going to get on your spot because you're doing it sort of under cover of darkness. So it's really handy having GPS for that sort of thing as well. So how do you go about using this GPS? Well, I must admit the technology was a bit confusing for me at first because, as I say, I normally use my boat manually and just drive it out with the joystick. But luckily Ripton has got a YouTube channel now with step-by-step guides for all the features of their boats, and it is actually very easy, very short videos, and once you know how to do it, it's pretty straightforward from there. So the first thing that you need to do is to set a home point. So that is where the boat is going to return to automatically. And you need to do that at the start of your session, because if you haven't done it, the boat won't know where to return to home. And if it starts coming back, it might sort of go somewhere else and try and get to the previous home point on a different lake or something like that. So how do you set the home point? Well, you first of all, you kind of put the boat in the water and you drive it to where you want the home point to be. And then you simply press down on the joystick and it will say enter home point, and then you press enter to confirm, and that will then set that home point. Once you're out at your spot and you want to return to home, you've already dropped your bait, you then just press down on the joystick and it will start automatically coming back to that home point. Now if for any reason you want to cancel that operation midway, for some reason, you know, like your line's in the way, you know, something's gone wrong, you can hold down on the enter button and there'll be like a loading bar comes up. And when that gets to the end, that will cancel the automatic function, put you back into manual mode, so then you can drive the boat with the joystick again manually to somewhere where it's safer for you to drive it. So once the home point has been set, the next job is to set your points out in the lake where you want to drop your bait. You've got A and B on the remote control. What you do is you drive out to your spot. Once you're where you want to be, you press A and then enter, and that will confirm that as your spot. And then you can go to your next point and press B and then enter, and that will confirm that as B. And then you simply press down on the joystick and that will come back to the home point, and you can get your boat and do your next task, send out your next rod. So once you've got out to your spot and the boat arrives at the point that you've set, an anchor icon will show on the screen of the joystick, letting you know you've arrived at your spot. And then you simply hold down the hopper button, which is the lower left button, and that will release your bait. And then once that's done, you can then press on the joystick to return to home. And when the boat arrives at the home point near to your bank, an anchor icon will again appear on the screen letting you know you're at the home point. And then the boat will automatically stay there and keep itself in position with GPS until you're ready to drive the boat to the bank and take it out of the water again. So I now want to just demonstrate the things that I've talked about show that they work and show that I've got it right for myself as well. I've never actually tested these features. So firstly, I'm going to set the home point, and then we'll try and set a point out in the lake to send the boat and see if it'll come back to home as well. So turn the boat on, hold down the bottom button on the handset, which will light up green, and it vibrates in your hand. The boat's just beeped to tell me it's come on, and then I'm just waiting for the signal to come on the top left of the screen. There we go. So now the boat is on and connected. So I'm going to drive it out. So because I've got my lines quite low down at the moment, I've decided to do a home point about 6 foot off the rod tips there. It's nice and safe, it's out of the way of the lines and it's out of the way of the rod tips. If you set your home point close to the bank, you're going to get into trouble with the boat coming across your rod tips and through your lines. So try and set a point a little bit out in the lake, and then you can do the last bit of the journey manually once you've sorted your rod out and everything, but the boat will stay anchored in that position until you're ready to drive it back. So we'll set a home point there. So what I'm going to do is press down on the joystick. It says enter home, press enter, and that is now the home point set. So let's just test that. I'm going to drive the boat out a little way into the lake just to demonstrate for you. And once I get somewhere that I might want to fish, so it's out there in the lake now. If I hold down on the joystick, it says RTH, return to home, and the boat is now automatically driving itself back to that home point that I've just set. So as you can see, I'm holding the handset there by the antenna, not pressing any buttons, and the boat is coming back. Once it gets to that preset home point, it's going to just adjust itself until it gets nice and settled. And then on the screen, it says home, and then there's an anchor point there. So what the anchor point means is that the boat will now keep itself in that position. And if the wind blows it out of the spot, it will get itself back there automatically in hold position with GPS. So it's really handy when you want to sort your rods out. After sending it out with your bait, the boat will just come and hover in that position until you're ready to drive it back manually. So what we do to get it back manually is we hold on the enter until the loading bar completes on the screen, and then look, I'm just driving it back now manually, and I can get it back nice and easy, nice and safe, and pick the boat up out of the water. So that is how you set the home point and return the boat to home. So now that I've set the home point of the boat, I want to show you how to set a point out in the lake, which is going to be your actual spot that you're fishing. So I'll drive it out to where I'm going to fish, and then I'll set point A, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to see if I can send it out automatically to that spot and then return to home automatically as well. And I'll talk you through the buttons that I'm pressing whilst I'm doing it. So we'll turn the boat on, and we'll turn the handset on, and the handset vibrates in your hand to know that it's turned on. It's the bottom button to turn it on and off. You have to hold that down and it will light up green when it turns on. Now the boat is turned on and it's connected, very quick. So we're going to send the boat over to the far margin, and you'll notice when it's on its way out there that it is nice and quick. Probably the quickest boat that I've ever used actually, I think, because of its small size. So we'll send it out, probably going to go on the far bank over there, just near some nice overhanging trees. So as you get near to your spot, you can just slow it down, and a little bit of reverse as well just helps you to stop it where you want it. So about there, hopefully you can see that. So you're going to short press A and then press enter, and that is now set as my point A. So I'm going to hold down the joystick. The boat's going to automatically return to home. So it's turning round. I'm not pressing anything at this point. and the boat is now driving back all by itself. You can see there I'm holding the antenna again, and the boat is automatically coming back to that point that we set in the last clip. Once it gets there, it will anchor itself again, and then I can drive it back manually and pick it out of the water nice and safe, so I'm avoiding my rods. So there we are, it's just doing the final adjustments, and it's returned home, and I've got an anchor point, and the handset is vibrating in my hand as well to let me know that I've got there. So that is now just anchored there. If I hold down enter, I get the loading bar on the screen. Once that's full, the boat's now in manual mode, and I can just drive it back. And there we go, so that point out in the lake is now set. What we do to send the boat out there, apparently we press and hold down on the A until it starts going. So I'm just going to put it out. I'll drive it past the rods just to be on the safe side, and then I'm going to hold down A, and it is now going to automatically drive itself to that spot. I'm not holding anything, I'm not pressing any buttons, and the boat is driving out there all by itself. So let's just see how accurate it is from where I set the point. Hopefully it's going to go and anchor itself on that point where I've just set. So still not pressing anything, and we're going to watch just to make sure it's not going to go through any trees or anything like that. But it's looking good, it's arriving at the spot now, and just waiting for the handset to vibrate in my hand and an anchor sign to come on. There we go, it's vibrated, we've got an anchor sign, and now the boat is on that spot that we've just set. So at this point you would press and hold the release to drop your rig, and then hold down the joystick and the boat is now automatically coming back to that home point. So that is really easy and means that you're going to be fishing accurately and putting it out at night if you can't see where you're fishing, or if you're going a long way out in the lake and you want to fish the same spot every time. It's actually amazing that you can do this. This technology has been around for a while, but I've not really ever used it before, but I think I'm going to start using it a bit more because it is so easy to do. Now the boat's arrived back at the home point, and we've got an anchor on the screen, and it's vibrating in my hand to let me know that we're there. So now I just hold down the enter to go into manual mode again, and then I'm going to drive it back nice and safe, avoiding my lines, avoiding my rod tips. And it's as simple as that, so that works really well. I really like that feature, and I think I might start using that, especially for fishing at night when you're trying to get up to a far margin or a feature or something. It's really hard to see, even with the bright lights on this boat and strong head torch, it's still hard to see kind of how close you are to a far margin, especially if it's quite far away. But using this feature, you could even walk around the lake to a far margin, set the boat point there, and you know exactly where you're fishing, and then it's going to drive there every time automatically. So it's almost like cheating, really. But you know, it's technology, it's there to be used, so why not use it and get the best out of a fishing? So I've shown you how to use the GPS functions with the handset. This is the most basic way to do that, but you also get a handy Rippton boat app. So if you go into the Play Store or the App Store and find the Rippton boat app, and then you can find the Catch X Mini in there and connect your boat to that. So what you have to do is go into your Wi-Fi, find the Wi-Fi for the Ripton boat and connect to it. The password will be 12345678. Connect to that, and then when you go back into the app, your boat should show up on there, and then you can preload the map for the area you're in, and it gives you like a satellite image of the lake that you're at. And then you can go in and set tasks. You can find the spots that you want to fish to. You can set multiples, I believe, and then send the boat out automatically using the app and return to home. You can set the home point on there, and it's all very functional in the app. There's lots of different things you can do in there as well. You can even change the voice of the app as well. So I think it's got 4 different voices. If you find one of them annoying, you can change to one of the other ones. I just tend to use the default one, to be honest with you, but there are 4 different ones you can do on there. And you can also, go in and set different points, and then when you come to the lake at another time, those points will still be in there. So you can kind of fish the same spots every time you come to the lake. So I'm just going to quickly try and demonstrate that now for you. Right, so to control the boat with the app, you've got a nice handy phone holder on the top of the handset there. And once the boat's turned on and the handset's turned on, we'll go into the Ripton boat app and we'll press enter there, and it says disconnected. So what we need to do is go into the settings on my phone and find the Wi-Fi Rip Mini. I am actually already connected to this, but what you want to do is go in Rip Mini 27CDF655. It might be different on yours, it depends on which boat you've got, but it's you click on that, and then the password is 12345678. Go back into the boat app, and it now says in the top left that we are connected. So I can see my position here on the lake. I can zoom in, and you can already see that point A where I set earlier with the handset. Now we'll ignore that point A for now, because we're going to set a new point using the app. So first thing I want to do is just double check my home point. So I want it around about there, just in front of the rods, nice and safe, but not in the way of any lines. So around about there, I'm going to hold down on home and release, and now you see the home point on the screen is bouncing up and down, so I can move the map and put that to there, press home, and it says confirm. So that is now set as my home point. Now if I zoom out, I can set a point that I want to drive the boat to. Let's just go there. So that's now a fishing point. Press start, mission is preparing, and the boat should automatically drive to that point. You can see the distance it's got to travel on the screen is counting down. And then once it gets there, it should automatically stop and anchor. Now the anchor means that it's going to stay in that position. Even if it's really windy, you've got a nice chop on the water, the boat will automatically adjust its position to stay where it is, ready for you to drop. And when you want to drop, you press on the left hand side the little icon, the second one down, press that and then slide, and it's dropping the bait now. And then when you want to return to the home point, you simply press the back arrow, which is the second one down on the right hand side, and slide. Mission is preparing, and then the boat will automatically drive back to the home point that we just set previously. So now the boat's coming back all by itself. I'm not pressing anything on the handset, and it's coming back to that home point. Once it gets there, once again it's anchoring, and you'll see an anchor icon will come up once it's settled. There you go, the anchor icon has now come up, so the boat is going to stay there indefinitely until you've sorted your rod out, and then you can drive it back manually. Now there's a number of features on the app. On the left hand side you can see you can turn the lights on and off. You've got your bait dropping. Top button there, it does scanning, so when you're using a sonar you can drive the boat in a certain route to scan the lake bed in a set route, so you can kind of go around backwards and forwards across the lake, and it'll make a map of the lake bed, which is really good. I haven't got the sonar connected at the moment, but the hydrobat sonar that Ripton do, it comes with the connection for that, and you can do that. You've also got in the settings there, you've got different voices. So we're on the default at the moment.
Voice switched successfully.
That's red alert,
Voice switched successfully.
Omnibot, and
Voice switched successfully.
cartoon. So
Voice switched successfully.
I'll just go for the default one, I think. And you can turn on and off the electronic anchor there if you want to. I think it's quite a good feature, I'll leave it on. You can turn on and off learner mode, and when you're not in learner mode, you can adjust your range so you can go a bit further when you're out of learner mode. And yeah, there's all sorts of different functionality in the app here. I'm still kind of getting used to it. I've only used it a couple of times, like I said, but yeah, it's as simple as that. We could set another mission, just so you can see. Hold it there and press start, and the boat will automatically drive to that point that I've just set. And it will get there and it will anchor there, so you know you're on the right spot before you drop your bait. And then you're simply going to press the bait drop on the left hand side there once it arrives and anchors. So it's arrived at the spot, we've got the anchor symbol on the screen there. We're going to press bait drop, drop the bait, that's the bait gone, and then press the back arrow on the right hand side and slide, and the boat will now come back to the home point. So as you can see, quite easy for the simple tasks on here, and then there's a bit more in-depth sort of complicated tasks that you can do once you get into sonar and all that sort of thing with the hydrobat. I've actually got one of those. I didn't bring it with me on this session, but I just wanted to talk about the boat on this video. So it's now arrived back at the home point and it's vibrating in my hand. I've got the anchor showing me that it's at the home point and it's going to stay there, and that's it. So nice and easy, and really, really quite sort of high tech and functional. And I'm going to hold down the enter button to go back into manual mode, and then I can just drive the boat back nice and safe to me on the bank. So I mentioned that Ripton have now made this a top loading boat, which is absolutely brilliant. You know, line comes in over the top instead of having to feed it through underneath. What I didn't say was it is actually their first single hopper bait boat. Because of the small size, it just wouldn't have worked to have multiple hoppers. So a nice decent sized single hopper with a payload of 1.5 kilos is absolutely perfect for small waters and, you know, these sort of more day ticket and kind of short session angling situations. The boat's got a 2-hour running time, so that's plenty for, say, a 48-hour session. You're not going to be using it constantly. You know, send your boat in and out, only takes about 5 minutes. So 2 hours should easily last you for a 2 or 3 day session. And I actually used it on a 48-hour session recently, and the battery wasn't even half depleted. So I reckon at a push it might do you for a 4-day session. But obviously you can take your charger with you and charge it up. The handset charges by USB-C, so you can charge that with your power pack on the bank. The lithium battery in it does need to be plugged in through main supply. A lot of lakes do have power now on the bank, so you can charge that if you take your charger with you. And also the range is 250 meters with the app, which is a pretty decent way. But also if you use the handset alone, it's got a 400 meter range, so absolutely plenty for absolutely everyone really. I've never fished more than 200 meters myself, so I feel like it will cover most situations. I think Ripton have made a big step forward with the new Catch X Mini. I really like a lot of the features. I like the small size and the low weight of it. I like the fact that the aerial's really short, so it doesn't catch on overhanging trees and under your rods, and the fact that it folds down, although their other boats did do that as well. I like the fact that it's now top loading, so you don't have to feed your line in underneath. You can do everything from above, which is just brilliant, to be honest with you, especially in wet conditions. You know, you don't want all mud from the ground going on your rig when you're putting it in. I like the GPS and the app functionality. They seem to have simplified it from the previous boats. and it's just really easy. Once you kind of know what you're doing with it, it takes a little bit of practice, but then it's kind of second nature, and it does seem to be really, really accurate with the GPS as well. Now, I know that bait boats aren't for everyone, and not all lakes allow them, so make sure you check the rules on your lake. But you can't deny that there are some spots that you simply can't reach by casting, and under overhanging trees is a real obvious one really. If you've got an island and the trees are overhanging but they're all undercut, so it's nice and safe, the fish are definitely going to get under there, especially on warm days when they like to get in the margins, and underneath trees is a nice sort of canopy. It feels safe for them. If you can get your boat in under there nice and stealthily, you've got a really good chance of catching fish, particularly in the warmer weather, as I said. So something like a boat, it is a tool to be used in those sorts of situations. Obviously, you're not meant to be misusing it, driving through other people's water and fishing dangerously into snags and kind of around obstacles and stuff like that. You've got to use it responsibly and sensibly. But in those situations where there's no other way to get a rig in position, a bait boat is a valuable tool to have in your armoury, and something small and lightweight like this, it can come with you on all your sessions. You don't even know it's there really, but it just gives you that option if you get to a lake and you don't really know where you're going to fish and you see the fish somewhere that you can't cast to. Bait boat's going to get you in that position, and with this one you can set points so you can get to that same spot over and over again, even in the dark, without having to use really bright lights that's going to spook the fish. So brilliant bit of kit, the Rippton Catch X Mini. I really like it. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you appreciate that I've only just got the boat, so I don't know everything about it, the full ins and outs, but I really like what I'm seeing so far, and I may do another video on it in the future. So if you've liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It doesn't cost you anything, it just helps me grow the channel, and it notifies you when I release new content if you want to see more from me. So yeah, thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you in the next video.